Good morning, YouTubers. T-Square with T-Square Talks. Hope everybody's having a great day. I got another great video for you, and I might even be on a trend here because I recently did a video where I kind of went into deep depth on some of what happened in Venezuela and really talked about some complicated topics. And it seemed like it generated a lot of questions. It generated a lot of views. And so I thought maybe I would continue to talk a little bit about this and some more specific stuff because a lot of channels tend to kind of glaze over stuff. Buy silver, the dollar's collapsing, and you need to hurry up and buy silver and gold. And I think there's a few different reasons why we see this. Because obviously there is a lot of motivators. There's a lot of people that are motivated by you buying silver. Personally, I'm not motivated by you buying silver. I'm motivated by you learning what's going on with the currency and how it's going to affect you and your purchasing power, your savings, your retirement. And once you learn that, then you will do whatever you're going to do. You'll make your own decisions. And so yesterday's video had a lot of views on it, had some extra questions. Can you talk about debasement? Can you talk about redenomination? Can you talk about reevaluating versus devaluing? And so I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about some of them topics. So I think it's going to be a really great video. I think you're going to gain a lot from it. And if you enjoyed today's video, please take a quick minute. As always, hit that thumbs up button on the video. It really helps us out. If you'd like to become a member, consider becoming a member. It is only $1.99 to become a member. A lot of perks come with that, including every month we do a special event where somebody wins some free silver, which is pretty cool. We always do some cool prizes, and it's worth it. And if you become a member, your comments go right to my phone, plus it helps out support the channel. It's only $1.99 to become a member, but even if it's not for you, I do ask that you hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, because it really does help me out. So today's topics that I want to specifically talk about is, what is debasement of money? What is devaluing the currency? What is revaluing the currency? What is the difference between the two? And what is redenomination of the currency? And all of these happen. They happen at different periods of time. We in the United States have already experienced some of this, and a lot of people don't even realize it. And some of this we haven't had happen yet here. However, when you look at other countries that this has happened to, all of these things have happened to some countries. And it started out in the same process that we're seeing here in the United States. So when people say stuff like, oh, that could never happen here, that's only because they haven't seen it happen here. And when it happens, it's too late. It's like a trap. Once you're in it, you're in it. You ain't getting out. And so you have to be mindful of what's going on. So we're going to talk about these things. Before we get started, I'm actually going to pull up some definitions for you too, so you can not only hear me talking about it, but you can actually read the definition of it yourself as well. So right off the bat, I want to take a quick look at silver. We saw a nice little jump on silver today. We started seeing a pullback to $29.50 roughly, and then all of a sudden we had that jump to $30.60 again. Now, I'm not worried about this. I'm still curious to see how the rest of the month's going to go. We had amazing job numbers come out last week. I don't think them were accurate because, I mean, if the numbers were as good as they said, which I personally, don't think they are, because they just end up putting it in the limelight. They post these numbers, and then they basically go back and change them up later and say, oh, well, we had some late numbers come in, or we didn't have all the details when we put the numbers out. And I kind of find that horrible. We all know that happens. It's happened over and over again. And I think the reason they wanted to put out the best numbers was to make it look like we are coming out of the best 4 years for this country. And really, I don't think it has been that good. And you can see that in prices. You can see that in inflation, but you have to understand where we're going. So looking at silver, it still looks like it's, going sideways a little bit. I'm happy to see it right around that point. I'd love to see a pullback, obviously. A good pullback comes in, I'm going to stack up a little bit more. But even if I didn't have any, I would probably be stacking at these prices. Gold, again, looking really nice. And I think silver is going to play catch up because gold really only about $100 off from its all-time high. And when you think about how quick $100 can move, I mean, we could see $100 change really quick. Just looking at it from this afternoon, we were at 26.90. We went up $10, but we've actually seen days where we've seen gold go up $50-$60 in one day. So gold silver ratio today dropping a little bit. We actually did see, let me go up a little bit here to this chart. That way you guys can get a better look at it. We did see the gold silver ratio fall a little bit. That's because silver went up. Gold didn't go up quite as much. Like I said, when things are going good and precious metals are booming, silver usually goes up in a higher percentage. Now that happens the same though when the metals are falling, silver will fall a little harder. And so, you have a gold silver ratio right now trading at roughly 88 to 1. We did see it dip into the 87s. We saw it at almost 90 a couple days ago. Actually, it was 90. So, I mean, there's a lot of room to grow. Now, when you take a quick look at the dollar DXY dollar index, you can see that the DXY, it's showing that we're looking good according to government. The dollar is looking good. Right now, we are strengthening our dollar. We're not devaluing in the sense of devaluing. We are debasing, which we're going to get into those terms in just a few minutes. But according to comparing the dollar to other fiat currencies, the dollar looks like it's doing good. Moving on real quick to the stock market today, which really had an amazing day. I mean, I'll be honest. We saw a 700-point increase in the Dow Jones. We saw a 466-point in the NASDAQ. We even seen Bitcoin go up. We've seen silver go up. We've seen gold go up. We've seen everything go up and look good today. And a lot of people are wondering what's going to happen at the next Fed meeting. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people are saying they're going to cut interest rates. They're going to raise interest rates. They're going to keep them the same. The truth of the matter is I think they're going to look pretty bad if all of a sudden Trump comes in and boom, hey, let's raise interest rates on him. There's no way in my mind that they're going to be able to raise interest rates. And when you have interest rates that can't go up or don't go up, that obviously helps to cheap money, to get cheap money, to be able to borrow money at a cheaper interest rate, and it promotes loose spending, I guess you can say. I mean, if I offered you a credit card at 0% interest, you might take that credit card, go to the mall, and buy a bunch of stuff. However, if I offer you that same credit card at 30% or 29% interest, you might think twice before you go a little crazy with that credit card. Why? Because you're not only going to pay for the item, but you're also going to pay a huge amount of interest. So that's why it's important to understand that. Looking at the debt clock, we are continuing to print money, as we will be indefinitely. It's not changing. There's a whole lot of red on this sheet, as someone commented, and they are absolutely right. This is not something that's going to go away anytime soon. So that's where you have to understand. The more money they're printing, what is going on? And this is where we get into today's topic of the specific definitions that I wanted to talk about, such as debasement, devaluing, revaluing, what is the difference, and what is redenomination? Hacking off some zeros. What does that mean exactly? So right off, the debasement of currency is what we are already experiencing here in the United States. We are seeing prices go up because we are debasing the money. Now, we're debasing our money because our money is paper. We are debasing it by printing more. Now, in the old days when we had gold and silver as money, you could debase it by adding in other metals. So you had a 90% silver dime or 90% silver quarter. Then all of a sudden we totally took it out and we went with basically all just junk metal. Now, if you look at the half dollar, though, you had a 90% silver half dollar, and then we debased it and we took it down to a 40% half dollar. And then we debased it again, taking it down to a 0% silver half dollar. Now, this happens all the time. If you're using gold and silver as money, this is something that is always going to happen. It happened in the days of Roman times, where their currency started out at almost pure gold, pure silver. And then as time went on, they'd start clipping them. They'd take a little clipping and they'd put it in a pot, and then they would make more. And then over time, they would end up adding in other metals like maybe a little bronze with that gold, and you get a 90% or an 80%, or you just keep moving it down the line until before they know it, their currency is worthless. Now, here's the problem with that. As you expand your borders and you send your currency elsewhere, like they did, Rome was big on expansion. But as they moved away from headquarters and people realized, wait a minute, this ain't a gold coin. What is this garbage? Then they started catching on. And that's what's basically happening now here in the United States. We have been debasing our currency for a while now. And as we are sending paper and treasury bonds that aren't paying really high interest rates even, people are starting to slow down on purchasing treasury bonds. They're starting to see the United States as essentially too risky. As we continue to print, they're starting to see that there's no end in sight. So real quick, I will read the actual definition of it. So debasement of currency means the act of reducing its value of the currency, typically done by a government through practices like printing more money, which leads to inflation and decreases of your purchasing power of each unit of currency. Historically, this often involves physically reducing the precious metals content of the coin while maintaining its nominal value. So that's a prime example. A dime is still a dime, but it's not the same as a 90% dime. Like mixing cheaper metals with gold and silver to create more coins. If we were still making gold coins for $20, we couldn't make as many $20 coins out of gold as we can out of paper, because paper's cheap. We can make as many as we want of them. But then the question comes up of what is devaluing the currency? And what is, I guess I should just roll out both questions, because there's devaluing and there's revaluing. Now, these are two practices that are done. One is designed to strengthen the currency. One is designed to weaken the currency. Now, here in the United States, we don't devalue. For the most part, we're not going to devalue our currency. Maybe we might get someone. Trump might come in and do it. But for the most part, we debase our currency. We don't devalue. We want the dollar to look like it's the strongest fiat currency in the world. And when you have the strongest fiat currency in the world, then essentially you start losing production. People don't want to buy from us because we start charging more for our products. Whereas if we basically revalued it and we brought the price of our currency down, our currency would look weaker. And then you would essentially want to buy product from us. Just like some of y'all know, I would like to go to the Philippines. The reason I want to go to the Philippines is my military retirement, along with my other retirement, along with my investments, I could probably live a really good life there. Whereas here I live a decent life. But I'm not, having a maid. I'm not having a private cook. I'm not having a gardener. Over there, that stuff's all possible, especially since you can actually rent a place for $90, $100 a month. Now, some people are like, what? I thought you said it was $550. For those of you that have been following me, I'm looking at possibly moving to an expensive area there, which would be like BGC, which is a real tourist place. But for $550 a month to have a jacuzzi in my room, to have everything I need, that's relatively cheap compared to almost anywhere here in the United States. So right off the bat, so you can understand now how devaluing your currency, obviously you gain the advantage. We'll read the definition of people wanting to purchase stuff from you. A weaker currency, people want to use it. Just like I want to take my strong US dollar, take it to the Philippines and get a bunch of weak bills and essentially be able to get a lot more for my money. So we'll take a quick minute. We'll read some of this here too, so you guys can actually hear it exactly the way they say it. So devaluation is a government policy that intentionally weakens the country's currency relative to other currencies. It can be suddenly, or it could happen significantly. We could see a decrease in the value of the currency. Why do countries want to devalue their currency? To gain a competitive advantage. China has been one of them countries that has devalued their currency for a long time, which means Americans and everybody else in the world wants to buy goods from China. Now, when you realize that, that puts a lot of Chinese people back to work. It produces a good work ethic there, and a lot of people want to trade with them. So it gains a competitive advantage. Devaluation can make a country's exports a whole lot cheaper to buy, which can help compete in a global trade market. So reducing debt, devaluation can help a country reduce its sovereign debt burden. And the reason that happens is the country's producing a lot more. If you have a household that is working, everybody in the household is working, then naturally that household is bringing in a lot of money. As opposed to if you have another household where maybe the kids don't work, they're just going to school. Maybe the wife don't work because she is watching the kids and taking care of the house and all the tons of responsibilities that they have. And then on top of that, you have a husband that maybe he's on layoff. Obviously, the debt builds up. So you have to understand what's going on in that process. So when you have revaluation of currency, revaluation of currency means it's intentionally increasing the value of the currency relative to other currencies. And this is what I said in the beginning. The U.S. does not want to devalue their currency. They want to revaluate their currency because they want the dollar to be the strongest. They want us, and we are lucky to have that. Don't get me wrong. As of right now, we enjoy the strong dollar. I mean, I've got a couple of my friends that they literally go on 10, 12 vacations a year, which is crazy to me. I've seen them fly to Mexico City for a weekend and enjoy it. I've seen them go to Italy for a week. I've seen them go to Egypt for a week. And they go to these places where essentially the currency is cheap. And so they get to use their good U.S. dollars and really enjoy themselves at these cheap places. So I think I did a good job explaining the difference between the two, which was actually my next topic. But I think I pretty well kind of explained it as I was going through the two of them. Now, the last one came up because there was a couple comments that said that's not exactly how it works. So you have to understand there's a lot of different policies that a country can take into play to make this happen. And when you think about the ones that we've already talked about debasing, which the United States has experienced that for a long time. You can clearly see that in all the examples that we cited. But then on top of that, you see that in Venezuela. Venezuela debased their currency. And the more they did it. Now, they ended up weakening their currency. They strengthened their currency depending on what was going on in time. Now, this next one that we're going to talk about, which is redenomination of the fiat currency, this one they experienced. And this is where they had the most trouble because they've experienced it already. And every country that has gone through a crazy thing like this has experienced the redenomination of currency. The United States is not there yet. So we don't really see it, because we haven't experienced the hyperinflation that comes just before the redenomination of the currency. So I want to explain a little bit. We explained this in yesterday's video a little bit, and we talked about it full-blown in the video the day before, which was phenomenal when I talked about Venezuela. So I want to kind of keep that magic going and try to explain some more stuff to you, because a lot of people don't really get too much in debt when it comes to economics. So they just, like I said, they want to talk more about gold and silver. And I'll be honest, I do that too, because it's easy. I don't have to worry about questions. I don't have to worry about anything. Everybody understands the basics, but not a lot of people really understand the process. And so once you understand that, now this redenomination is the direction that the United States is heading. We're just not there yet. So now the question comes up, are we going to get there? Because there's a lot of naysayers that are going to say that's never going to happen here in the United States. But if I talked about debasing the currency, those same naysayers would say that's never going to happen here in the United States, even though it's already happened, because they don't understand the fundamentals of it. They just know, a little bit here and there about what it means. So redenomination of a fiat currency is the process of changing the face value of a country's banknotes and coins in circulation, essentially removing a zero from the currency without altering its actual purchasing power, usually done to address high inflation and make transactions easier by introducing a new currency unit with a higher value compared to the old one. It's considered a symbolic move to signal that the period of hyperinflation is over and done, and can improve perception of the currency. So here's what I first want you to take from this. They did this in Venezuela, and people thought because they had done it, everything was better. That's why they say a symbolic move to represent that it's over. But then they did it again and again and again and again. And there were people that sold their precious metals right after the first one. So I want you to think for a second. You got precious metals that you bought at $30 an ounce. They essentially redenominate the currency. We've already experienced the inflation, because when they debase the money, you've already gotten your profits. I mean, silver right here in the United States at $30, we've been gaining. So why are we buying silver still? Because we know the gaining process is going to keep happening slowly but surely. It's not going to come to an end when they redenominate the money. So, but there are people out there that will believe, okay, so so it's done. The whole process is over. Now we can get back to sound money. We have these new Fed notes and everything's good. But what happens is it continues. Now, the items didn't necessarily maybe change in price. So when you have an ounce of silver, if this happened, we'll say when Trump comes in, hypothetically, I don't think that's going to happen, but anything could happen. But all of a sudden Trump gets in and says, you know what? We're going to we're going to redenominate the currency. And all of a sudden we take a zero off, and a $10 bill will become a $1 bill, but it will be one new Fed note. Your ounce of silver is going to get cut too. Your ounce of silver is going to be $3. But why would I want to hold silver now? Because the dollar is strong again. Now we have new currency. So obviously things are better. I can sell my gold. I can sell my silver. I can invest in stuff. I can go have fun. I'm living the good life. And then all of a sudden they do it again. And boom. Now you've got fiat dollars. Each time they do that, those dollars become worth less and less and less. So that's why I tell people, it's okay to treat gold and silver. Some people tell me I will never sell mine. I'll tell you right now, I will sell mine. I'll sell gold. I'll sell silver. Well, why would you do that? Because gold and silver is meant to be money. So if you truly believe, that gold and silver is money, then that's your savings account. You're saving in silver and gold. You're not saving in dollars. Well, sometimes you need to tap into your savings account. But if you're not saving in dollars, what do? I mean, I can't go and pay for a new car with silver coins, generally. So you have to tap into your savings account, cash them in for dollars. But what I don't want to necessarily see is someone think that that's the right way to go, and then they cash in their entire collection. Maybe they're sitting on $20,000 in coins, and they just need $10,000 to fix a problem, but they sell their whole collection. See, you want to save in precious metals because it continues to go up, as we've stated in other videos. Now, key points that you have to know from this. It really has no impact on the exchange rate. The face value changes. A $10 bill will now be a $1 bill, but it will be a new bill. Don't get me wrong. They're not just going to say, oh, that's a $10 bill. It's only worth $1. Although, if you have a $10 bill, they might give you $1 for it, only because you can exchange it, but its value did not really change in that process. The currency exchange rate against other currencies remains the same, as we stated in the Venezuela situation, where now a Venezuelan bolivar is really only worth like 2 cents. And, so you need 50 of them to equal $1. In Philippines, their currency is worth 58 to R. They got 58 of them to R1. So I get $58 for every one, which means when you think about it, $1,000 is $58,000 over there in purchasing power. And I will get into in a future video, because someone had asked me, well, what does stuff cost there though? Because can I go there and just buy $58,000 worth of computers and then bring it back here and then sell them for our money? We're going to get into that in a future video, because that's a whole nother thing that I think people need to understand that too, because stuff goes up. But the biggest cost of any product is going to be the transportation. If it's produced in your country, then it's going to be cheaper in that country. If it's produced outside your country, then it's going to be more expensive generally. Take, anything. Computers from China. If the U.S. was producing computers, some type of computer, it's probably going to cost a little bit more because it costs more for us to make it. But that's for another video. This process of redenomination is used during a hyperinflation phase. And that's why I said we haven't gotten there yet. We have not experienced hyperinflation, but we will see it eventually. It is coming. Do not think for a second it's not going to happen. Now, what's going to be the most interesting is when the United States experiences it, a lot of these countries that are holding U.S. dollars, they're going to feel it too. So we've kind of created something now for the United States that if anybody wants to totally destroy the U.S. dollar, we're going to essentially take them with us. You think about it. If you're holding a bunch of my checks that I wrote you every week, I'm writing you a check or I'm giving you checks, you're holding a bunch of them. You haven't been able to cash them all yet, but you're holding them. And all of a sudden, you want to burn me, shut down my business, whatever the case may be, those checks aren't going to clear. And that's what we've created here in the United States. We've made it so all these countries around the world kind of use the dollar. They do use the dollar. Now, some people are getting smart and they're reducing it. And I'll give you another prime example of that. If the situation that I just stated, you're holding a bunch of my checks, what would you do? You would slowly start cashing in your checks. You know right off the bat you can only cash in so much of it, because I'm telling you right now, when I hand you the check, hey, you can't cash this for a couple weeks. And I've seen people that own businesses write checks out and do this. Hey, look, I'm giving you the check now, but you can't cash it until the first of the month. Oh, that's cool. Okay. The money's good on the first of the month. And they do this. Some people have a slang name for it. They call it kiking checks. It's a term that businesses will use to basically kind of kick the can down the road a little bit so they don't have to pay that bill right now. Because in some cases, some merchandise, when they take in an order, I mean, you could spend thousands of dollars, maybe even $10,000. And having to pay that right off, it's better if you can kind of get them to, they're essentially loaning the money to you for 15 days for free. Because if I give you the check now and it's the 15th, at the time of filming this, it's the 16th for you guys watching it, and I tell you don't cash the check until the 1st, well, essentially, I floated you that money. Now, or I'm sorry, you floated me that money because I'm the business owner. Now, I have time to sell some of that stuff and make some of that money back. And that's what I would do. I would hurry up and try to sell as much as I can right off the bat, get the money in the bank. That way that check clears for you, and then I've got the rest of it already paid for, essentially. So it is more of a psychological thing. Redenomination of currency is a psychological thing, because think about you going, and I touched up on this a little bit yesterday. You go to the gas station and you buy a gallon of gas and it's $100. Psychologically, you're like, what the heck? You remember when it was $3? You remember when it was 99 cents? Remember when it was 10 cents? Whatever the case may be. But if they shave the zero, did my computer just shut off? What the heck? Oh, I was like, I hope that didn't just shut off. I hope it just went sleep. I don't know what just happened. Maybe because I hadn't moved the mouse in a while. I hope that's still recording. Let me just look real quick. Okay, and we're almost at 30 minutes, so I don't want to go too much over this. So it's a psychological thing. Gas, $30, $100, whatever the case may be. If they take a zero off, now gas is $10. I mean, you take gas today at $4 a gallon roughly. If we did a 10 to 1, gas would be 40 cents. And people would all be thinking, oh, wow, but it wouldn't really change anything. It's still the same. That's why it's a symbolic thing. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap up. If you still have questions on this topic, do not hesitate to ask the question, because like I said, these videos have done really well for me. And so I want to do good explanations for you. If you'd like to become a member of the channel, like I said, it's only $1.99. You have an opportunity to win some free silver. And on top of that, your comments go right to my phone, and you get to help support the channel. If not, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up, and let me know you made it to the end. I love it when people say, yeah, I made it to the end, because I always get scared. Like I said in yesterday's video, making a 30-minute video discourages people from watching it. So that's why I want to kind of put that out there. So if I know people are watching it to the end, then I'm going to get more into some of these detailed videos, I think, that will help people get more of an understanding on what's going on. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and who knows, free money coming to you through the printing presses. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys again on T-Square Talk. Take care, everybody. Have a great night, day. Bye-bye.